And we are live. Welcome to the latest episode of Shot Talk with the Redneck. And we have my guest. Introduce yourself, TF Collector.
Hey, I am a TF collector. I do mainly Transformers reviews here on YouTube. A little bit of He-Man stuff thrown in too for the time being, and just happy to be here and chatting with someone tonight. So,
Okay. So what have you gotten anything new recently?
oh yeah. So you could barely see him behind the arc there, but there's my black Zarek. See his claws sticking out.
Yeah, I
Right
see
out
it.
of display room here. I also got, where is he at? Other side. Blaster right there. I'm really bad at doing this mirrored. But yeah, I just got Blaster. I actually just filmed his review. I got to get that like edited and put out there. And
I
I
was
also
really
got the
impressed with
new.
Blaster.
What's up?
I was really impressed with Blaster.
Oh yeah. A lot better than the Soundwave, like where it was coming from a different mold and they just kind of threw something together. Like this guy is meant to be Blaster, so I think he works a lot better.
Well,
And
the Netflix Soundwave looks really good. It works really well.
I think it
So
could have been better if that mold had been designed from the ground up to turn into a cassette deck rather than them kind of reconfigure it from the ship one. They could have
I,
had less kibble and stuff on it.
I kind of think the way it looks, it kind of looks like it was made, like the base mold was made intentionally to go either direction.
It could have been that might have been the plan from the beginning.
Because I mean, just the way that engineering's put together,
Yeah,
it's just too much on the nose. I mean, stuff in that ship mode that looks completely out of place, like it's not needed, and then you go and look at those positions on the Netflix, and it's like, oh, well, hell, there it is.
it could very well be. I also got the core class like Studio Series ones, the Shockwave and the Ravage. I haven't gotten around to them yet though. They're still sitting there waiting to get some love. But I'm always perpetually behind. I always got to. You can't see them; they're all scattered around the floor and bottom shelves. But tons of stuff between Motu and Transformers that I'm just trying to get to. But with work and kids and everything, it takes forever.
I've seen that Netflix, right? Well, I've seen both of, or not Netflix. What am I talking about? Those studio series, Ravage and Sound Shockwave. They look really good.
Yeah,
Bayverse isn't my even if it is Bumblebee movie, it's not my chosen
yeah,
aesthetic.
I agree.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's kind of niche. You gotta like it, or you either like it or you don't. In the movie, I like it, but as far as a part of my collection, unless it was a gift, I wouldn't get it. That
Yeah,
Ravage does look really good, though.
yeah. I've been one of the things I'm really backlogged on is like the Bayverse Studio Series stuff because I'm gonna be honest, they're not nearly as exciting for me. So if I have to like triage and choose what goes on the back burner, they're usually like the first bit of fodder because I mean at this point, they all kind of look the same. Like the deluxe car bots, it's basically just a robot, a generic looking robot with a car shell on its back, and it's either like silver, red, or blue, and like they all look the
Or
same.
yellow.
Or yellow, yeah, if it's like Bumblebee. And honestly, like the transformations are like I don't know if I will get around to reviewing those. I may end up just cutting them from the schedule and just say screw it because I don't know how many people even want to watch that anymore. I think Bayverse is kind of just fading from the public consciousness at this point.
It seems that way. Uh, Last time I was in the store, um, the worst case of swap out I've seen to date.
Yeah.
Someone took Cogman and put him in a Studio Series 86 Scourge or Sweeps box.
And they just took it like that, huh?
Yeah,
That, that's
not
the
only did
problem.
they didn't even, they just took all the guts out of the Cogman box and threw it down in
Oh,
the
really?
86. It's got the insert, the whole 9 yards, and it's a complete Cogman. I would actually be interested in it because he's a headmaster. If they weren't trying to charge the full price for the sweep.
Yeah, that's true. I hated that they obviously designed Cogman to be a headmaster, and like there was supposed to be a whole scene in the movie where he cut Nitrogen's head off and like took over his body and everything. They never did it. They just they like give a passing mention to the fact he's a headmaster and then just completely ignore that fact and just like left all that on the cutting room floor. That was
And they
terrible.
were also supposed to that car that he was
Mhm.
driving. He was supposed to. That was supposed to be his transtector.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah.
And they
And
were
the
supposed to see
toy.
him going into that transtector body and turning into a giant version of his head.
Yeah. And like how much better would I mean, it was my opinion, last night was an awful movie, probably the worst one. But how much better would it have been if they had that moment in there where you actually had him combined with his car and then at some point, head swap with a different robot and get even bigger? Like would have been, I'd say 60% cooler than it actually was. But
Yeah, you combine,
well,
you add that to the three-headed combining dragon, and yeah, that's like checking all the boxes right there,
oh yeah, for sure.
or at least a big chunk of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that movie was a mess. It's unfortunate.
It was a mess, and then it was edited into an even worse mess.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
the story continuity, the story progression in that movie, there's sections in there where you're going like, what just happened? Because
well,
it'll jump.
the biggest problem is, they touted this writers' room that they had where they came with all these different pitches and ideas with these famous writers for the movie. And then their approach ended up being take all of those things and then combine that in one movie. Because like all of those different weird segments, like your King Arthur stuff, your like James Bond heist kind of thing, your Indiana Jones kind of references, those were all supposed to be like separate movie ideas people come up with. And then they just like stuck them in a blender and made just incoherent mess of a movie out of them. And it's like no wonder it did bad. It's one of the worst pieces of film I've seen like ever. I
Yeah,
hate saying that because I love Transformers, but
yeah. Well,
not good. That's my take on it. I thought Bumblebee was a nice breath of fresh air for that franchise. Really took it back to the roots and felt like a Transformers story again. So
yeah, it did. Less focus on the human element.
yeah,
There was the human element was still there, which is kind of necessary, but there was less focus on the human element and more focus on the bot. Even though they focus primarily on the one bot.
yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with having humans in a Transformer story as long as they are not the focal point of that story. When the Transformers become
Exactly.
background characters in their own movie, like that's not a Transformers movie anymore. That's like a coming of age college movie that has robots in it. And who wants to
That's
see that?
Sam Witwicky and his pet robots.
Yes, that's basically all it was just the robots were just there as like CGI eye candy, and that was it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we're here to talk about prices today, right?
Yes, we
Lovely
are.
prices.
And we are going through what I think Gotbot said something about it being like the second one in less than a year, 7 months price hike
Yep.
on Transformers product and GI Joe and just about everything else Hasbro. But here's my question: is it just Hasbro price gouging their customers? Because I'm not really seeing that across the board in toys. You go and look at McFarlane stuff. If the price went up, it's so negligible I haven't been able to notice it.
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe, the single carded figures did go up just a little bit. It's like what,
You're like
two
17 now.
bucks?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they haven't changed price in the 2 years the line's been out, because you got to count the WWE figures, the Masters of the WWE Universe, in that too.
Yeah.
And they were $15 when they first came out, and they've been $15 until just recently.
Yeah. I think where the issue lies is that Hasbro had been raising prices over the years, whereas a lot of other manufacturers like Mattel really wasn't. So then when they have to jack the price up again because of supply chain issues, it's just that much worse because we're already tired of them bringing the prices up. Because they're, being a publicly traded company with shareholders, they're not going to take a loss. Like they will lose so much money in investment if they start saying, hey, we're going to purposefully choose to make less money off of our products because, we don't want to piss people off. And I think that's a big part of it, is that they can only go forward. They can never go back. which is why, the greater inflation topic, and I don't want to get, into politics, but a lot of people say like, oh, it's temporary. Like, it's never temporary. When prices
No.
go up, they don't go back down unless there is a
Uh,
serious reckoning. And as they can get away with keeping prices where they're at, they're going to keep them there. That goes for toy manufacturers too. Like, they're never coming back down. Deluxes will now be $25. That's just it. What Voyagers used to cost. So
I
very
remember
up to
when
you.
Voyagers cost $20.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
you can get a
they used to
deluxe
be
for
20.
10.
Yeah. And I mean, they're bringing the price up on everything. I think Core is going to be 12 now. And I mean, I show you this. It's a cool enough toy, but that is 12. This tiny thing right here is
That
$12.
transforms into a box, and not even
Yeah,
a
it
very
turns into
coherent
a
looking box.
rectangle. Like, I wouldn't even call it
And it's not
transforming.
even
It
a
just
very
folds up on
coherent.
itself.
It's not even a very coherent box. It's just kind of a there.
Yeah. So I
It
think
kind of reminds me of the battle droids from
they fold up in the ship, Star Wars.
yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty much exactly what he does too. He just kind of folds up on himself, and that's it. That's his transformation, is folding. And I hate it because I get, there are real world issues that are driving it, but I think if they hadn't been quite so greedy to begin with, uh, I don't think it would hurt as bad. Like, imagine if they had kept deluxes at about 15 to 17, like they had been in, Prime Wars era. And then we got a $2 price increase. Nobody would be that bothered, but we're already up to $23 for a deluxe, and now it's up to 25. Like, people are starting to realize, like, that's a lot of money for a deluxe figure, and like, they're not getting any bigger, really.
Yeah.
War for Cybertron saw a pretty massive downsizing, and there's a lot of debate over whether or not the math, added up there between downsizing but increasing articulation. Like, I don't know. I don't fully buy it. I think there's some trade off, but I also think as time goes on, their technology to make more intricate toys, improves, which means making
Offsets.
yeah, I mean, it makes it easier. They're still like, well, this has ankle tilt. I'm like, yeah, but is it that impressive in 2022 to have ankle tilt? Does it really cost them that much to do that as opposed to, maybe 10, 20 years ago? I don't, I don't
Yeah,
think
because
that
I mean,
production cost.
now I mean, you got to think digital. I mean, I've got opened up right now 7 different, no, six different programs
Yeah.
for 3D file editing. So
Yeah.
because I'm looking at different options because I'm starting to get into that stuff. I mean,
You almost kind of have to, right? If you ever want anything, you may have to just print your own from now on, because it's going to financially break the bank if we keep collecting. The prices keep going up.
I know a guy on in a Facebook group that I'm in that he missed the boat on the cone heads
Oh man,
on the
a lot
two
of people
pack.
did.
He missed the boat on the 2-pack, but he got thrust. So he can't have thrust sitting on the shelf without the other two.
Right.
So he is basically doing an exact copy as best he can of that Earthrise conehead mold.
I think I've seen some photos of that. I think I saw shots of like the back or something, the back plane where it was kind of hinging up.
Yeah, in the chest plate. I think because I shared
I don't
those
know
in
if I
the
saw the chest plate. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. I do specifically remember seeing the back though. That was pretty cool.
yeah, he's doing the entire thing, and you can just print it out on your 3D printer, whether you
Yeah.
have a resin or injection.
Yeah, and I think that's going to create an issue for Hasbro. Eventually, they're going to start pricing people out of that market. Not everybody has a lot of spending cash to buy these things. And
And 3D printers are getting so damn cheap now.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, you can get one for a few $100, and like, it'll be an initial investment, but then you can make all the transformers you want from that. You just got to buy the
Or
resin, which is pretty cheap. Most people put their plans up for free on the internet.
or
So
for a little to nothing
yeah, they're
cost.
like $5. And yeah, you can have your own, Ramjet and Dirge if you really want to. It won't be exactly the same as Hasbro's, but I mean, if you're really good with, the paint, and you get like a pin punching set, so you can put like pins and stuff in there, screws, you can easily make them for a fraction of what Hasbro charges. And the more
And the
accessible that
third
becomes,
party and the aftermarket, just forget about it. God,
oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we think Hasbro's price gouging. Just go check out some of I mean, for the stuff that just came out, um, Shattered Glass Megatron,
Mhm.
$115 for a Shattered Glass Megatron,
I mean, he's good, but not that good.
right?
Jeez. Yeah, I think T-Formers, they had a poll recently where they were asking like, is eBay still good for Transformers and stuff? Now, most of the people that answered that poll, they said, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that because I remember um this wasn't that long ago either. This was
Sup,
less than
M3?
oh, I gotta switch over. I always forget to change it from private chat to comments. Hey, hey. Um I got a BotCon Ape Link, like the original one, like
Yeah,
the Transmetal recolor, $40 shipped on eBay. That would not happen right now. You'd be paying maybe $400. Like,
I remember when I first saw that first Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. You could
mhm,
get him on eBay for $30-$40. Shit. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's over $150. And I'm like, what the hell happened?
yep,
And it's just, it's like um, certain individuals are gobbling up all the cheap options they see online, and then they're
exactly what
flipping it
happened.
for stupid prices.
Yeah, that's why I really don't buy people that defend scalping. They like to make the free market argument. I really strongly disagree that that's the free market, though, because you are stripping the supply. Like, you can't say, "Oh, if you don't like my prices, go somewhere else." Like, well, they can't because you bought up everything. You are
Exactly.
literally just creating a monopoly on this item, and then charging whatever you want for it. And that's to me, that is not the free market.
That's
Like that's where
antitrust.
the spirit you it might maybe technically fall under there, but like that's not the spirit of what you think of when you think of a free market exchange. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where there's
that's.
competition.
Mm-mm.
So
And then if there is competition, they get together. We know they're getting together behind closed doors and saying, "Hey, come on, let's charge $300 for this thing, and charge around that all across the board. That way, we all make our money."
yep. I actually saw an article today said a teenager, I forget what country exactly. It was somewhere in Asia. The teenager became a millionaire selling PS5s and Xbox consoles, and everyone's like, lauding this as a great achievement. Like, oh, millionaire as a teenager. I'm like, no, screw that kid. Like, no, he made sure that nobody else could get a hold of these without paying like $1,000 for each one. That's not an achievement. That's scummy. Like, it might be
Yeah,
legal, but just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right.
exactly. I
So,
mean, people are not being taught morals these days,
oh yeah. So,
and fair business practice.
I mean, scalping's always been a thing, but it's become so sophisticated now, that now that they have bots and scripts that can buy these things up faster than you could ever click on them, it's becoming something that used to be kind of a niche issue, and now it's just rampant. And nobody's really making any attempt to stop it either because they don't think it's important enough. I mean, certain things are illegal to scalp, like sports tickets, but that's because, the big sports leagues were losing a lot of money and they have a lot of sway and, lawmaking, and we're able to get that made illegal. No legislator is going to care about your $20 transformer toy. Like, that's just so beneath their notice. So we're just kind of stuck dealing with stuff like that, and that's really unfortunate. Really ruins the hobby. So yeah, it's just, I don't know, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, but the problem here, this is the way I see it. That kind of thinking hurts the business in a long run. Sure, in the short term, the companies are getting paid. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're getting their money. But when you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar brand, you know, and that's what Transformers is.
Yep.
It is a billion-dollar brand. someone say I'm overestimating those prices, but I don't think so. And for the company to be so short-sighted with their brand, that is their bread and butter. A big chunk of their income comes from that one brand.
Mhm.
The other stuff is just icing on the cake, so to speak. Um, for that, for them to be so short-sighted with that brand, it just screams, we don't care if we're in business in 10 years.
Yeah. Oh
Because
yeah, it's very
that kind of,
short-sighted.
because I mean, it's going to end up, that kind of thing is going to end up causing those people that are buying all their product that, yeah, we're getting our money because we're selling it for what we're putting prices on for. They're going to get stuck with all that product and not be able to move it,
Yep.
which means they're not going to have more money to then go and turn around and buy the newest thing. But by that point, all the fans are going to be gone
Yep.
because the scalpers done priced them out of the market.
That's exactly what happens is people, they eventually just get fed up and they lose interest. You know, you might be excited for that new Optimus Prime that's coming, and you're like, man, I can't wait to get it. And then you find out you can't get it. You know, there's a supply shortage, and the few that are there are being gobbled up and being sold for $200. Eventually, that excitement dies out, and you just move on to something else. And then, you
Mhm.
know, if you ever do pick it up, maybe you'll get it on clearance. And at that point, the company's already lost their money. You know, they have to clearance it out.
At
You know,
least the retailers lost their money.
yeah, the retailers did. And that all, you know, just kind of trickles down to eventually people will just stop collecting. If it becomes that much of a hassle to get their toys at the already inflated prices that they are, uh, they're just not gonna, or they're gonna look somewhere else. They're gonna go with third party. They're gonna do something that isn't a giant hassle for them. Um, I mean, hell, the same thing happened with me trying to get a PlayStation. Like when that PS5 dropped a year ago, you know, I was looking forward to it. I'm like, yeah, you know, new console. I'm definitely want to try that out. And I was looking around, and then I realized what a nightmare it was to get one. And I had basically reached a point where like I just didn't care anymore. I'm like, oh, I'll see you guys when the PlayStation 6 comes out, I guess. I really don't, I'm not going to be bothered. I'm not going to go out of my way to track something down that I don't need in my life. Now, I did luck out recently, and like my GameStop, you know, did a drop for pro members. So I just lucked out and got one, but I wasn't going to go out of my way to get one. I
My
didn't care
wife's
anymore.
got Finger Hut. She gets a lot of stuff. She loves Finger Hut.
Finger Hut?
Yeah, she loves Finger Hut.
Was it like a buying service or?
Yeah, it's a lot of it's like you've got toys for kids and you've got stuff for your home. A lot. It started off as mainly stuff for the home.
Yeah,
But they've expanded and they've got all kinds of stuff. My wife loves Finger Hut.
that's pretty cool.
And one of the things that she saved money on her Finger Hut account because it's a credit. You get a credit amount and then you pay it off, pay it down, but they send you the stuff and whatever it is you wanted, and then you just pay for it over time. So
I
it's
like that. That's pretty
kind of
cool.
like Amazon, but you pay for it over time.
I like that.
But you end up paying a little bit more, not by much, 15, maybe 20% more over time as opposed to all at one time.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit easier for a lot of people to stomach.
Yeah.
But they've got PlayStation 5s on their, they're currently out of stock, but my wife's been keeping an eye out because that she wanted to get me one for Christmas, and the day before she could get them, they completely sold out, and they're
Ah,
supposed to be getting more in.
that's lame.
It's like the day before payday, they completely sold out, so she couldn't order one. But she's saved that amount on her account because
Yeah.
she had to get her account paid down a certain amount, which took that Friday before she'd have enough on her account to order the thing. Something, I don't know.
It's frustrating when you miss out on something because of that. Because
Yeah.
you're like just not ready for it, or yeah.
Yep.
I'll say the five's pretty nice. Yeah, it's not mind blowing, you know.
There's only a few games that I've seen on there that I really want.
Yeah. Same here. I mean, I haven't been that excited because there's nothing that I need to play on there. And most of it's just remasters of PS4 games and stuff anyway. So,
I mean, I think there's one game that was a PlayStation 5 only that I'm really wanting to play. I'm wanting to check out with the when they relaunched the Cyberpunk 2077 on the PS5 platform.
hopefully
I'm wanting to check that because I mean,
the bugs worked out by then. That was
uh,
a rough launch. It's a very rough
it
launch
was a
for the
rough
game.
launch, but I've got a first gen P4 and it plays fine on my P4.
That's good.
The current build does. And everything after that, what was it, 2.3 build has been fine on
Good.
the one that came out right before Christmas or right at Christmas last year. I mean, it's been fine ever since. Just
That's good.
very little glitches. I mean, that's just in the occasional graphics glitch, which I think is built into the game.
Yeah, it was a real black eye on CD Projekt Red because they have a pretty good history of when they release games that are stable. There's not a lot of big issues with them. Cyberpunk, whew, that didn't go well. People were
Well,
really mad about that game.
they completely scrapped what they had halfway through the development cycle.
Oh, did they? I
Yeah, they
didn't know that.
completely scrapped everything and started over from the ground up.
Huh. That
So
can make a mess. Yeah.
yeah, that's what left it in so much shambles. Like the team, a lot of the team was gutted, and they scrapped the entire storyline and project when they brought Keanu Reeves onto the project.
Yeah.
They just
That's when
scrapped
they
everything,
scrapped
and
everything.
that's when they scrapped everything and redone it. Went in
Huh.
a completely different direction from what they were planning. So yeah, the fact that they actually got it out as stable as it was in the amount of time that they had is kind of surprising if you think about it.
Oh yeah.
But you look at that, and then you look at the crap that Hasbro's putting out for the Transformers brand, and I'm like,
Yep.
we've basically got over glorified cell phone games on the PlayStation right now.
Yeah, I think I hate saying this, but I think the era of like a good media presence for Transformers is pretty much dead, which is not a good sign for the toy line because you need that media to help advertise the toy line. And we haven't had like a really good show in a while. I mean, some people like Cyberverse, but I still wouldn't call that anything to like write home about. Haven't had good games since Fall of Cybertron, really.
I like Devastation.
Devastation was fun. It was fun. I just don't think it
It was
was as groundbreaking as Fall of Cybertron. It was just kind of a beat 'em up that just had Transformers in it. I don't know.
yeah.
It wasn't a bad game by any means. I did enjoy it, but I don't think it left the same impression that those prequel games did. Those were pretty solid, my opinion, anyway.
Excuse me. The difference in between those two, the major impact that those two games had that um um Devastation didn't have is the online play.
That's true. That's true. They
You
did
had the
have their online
collaborative,
mode.
that online presence, that online mode really made the huge difference between Devastation and War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, because the story progression is very similar.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, story wise, they did feel very similar. The way, you kind of had a level where you went through and fought generic cons and stuff, and then you'd have usually a big name character at the end of the battle. And it's true, they did feel very much the same that way.
And it was just that Devastation didn't have an online presence, and it almost feels like they had planned an online presence, but didn't that company like go belly up or something that was making that?
Well, Activision made Devastation, like the main Activision, like they're still
And
around.
then they this
They actually just got bought by Microsoft, so not sure how that's going to go. So the team that made the War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron games, that was High Moon Studios, and they were kind of their own independent developer. And I think they were hired like through Activision at the time, and they made two really good games. and then Hasbro threw, I think it was the Dark of the Moon game at them, and it didn't do very well because they just kind of rushed it. It's a licensed game, it wasn't their best work, and Hasbro and Activision looked at that and oh, you did a bad job, you're all fired. It's like, okay, they did maybe one game that wasn't great. All their other stuff was fantastic, and you made them rush to get this game out. They're like, nope, shutter it all. And they actually took all their assets, since Activision owned the rights to those assets, gave them to a new team, and that's how we got Rise of the Darkspark, which was just a team made by people that couldn't care less, and they just used a bunch of recycled assets from Fall of Cybertron.
And it was trash.
And it was awful. It was so bad. So, yeah, they really did High Moon dirty there, because they made some fantastic games, some of the best storytelling in Transformers, I think, at least in a video game medium. And
Yeah.
What else? That leaves us with the comics, which the comics are very hit or miss. Some people love them, some people hate them.
IDW, modern IDW comics are woke trash to be. I mean, that's my honest
I'm
opinion.
inclined to agree. I think, regardless of even
that if you think about it, that's really the case of most comics these days. I mean, they made Superman gay.
I think it's his son. It's like his son. They made his son bisexual or something. I don't even know. To me, that just seems like a real cop out. It's like, hey, I can't write interesting stories, so here's a buzz gathering headline of oh, look, he's got a boyfriend now, and it's meant to. I think it's meant to invoke two reactions, right? It's from certain people are going to be like, oh my god, I love this, it's the best thing, and other people are like, this is stupid, I hate this. And no matter what, they're winning because it's all free advertising. Anytime they talk about it.
The downside to that, the people that are like, oh, I love this is the greatest thing ever, aren't buying comics.
That's generally true. That is generally true.
You got to pick your battles, and
I think it's a short-sighted thing. I think it's a short-term gain of oh, hey, we generate all this hype around it, negative and positive, people are talking about it, and some people get curious and go read it because they keep hearing about it. But I think when you go ahead and you just throw these cheap little gimmicks out there like that, when you kind of try to chase one certain crowd of people but neglect all your other readers, eventually it's going to catch up to you, and you're going to see your sales drop. And I mean, you see it across the board. Comic sales are in the toilet, and a lot of people that used to read comics just don't want to anymore because they don't feel the same.
Yeah, and they feel like they're being ostracized in the community as well.
Oh yeah, because if you complain, regardless of your motivation for complaining, you are kind of put out there.
One of those ists or isms.
Often, yeah. And I actually went back. I have the entire first run of IDW comics on my phone because I had that Humble bundle some time back.
Yeah,
we just got the whole thing for $15. I'm like, well, I can't turn that down. I mean, that is 14 years worth of comics or $15. And it'd also be useful for if I did some sort of discussion video, I can actually have that now to screen cap it. And just the other day, I was going back and I started reading again from the beginning, all the way back in Infiltration. And you're like, this is not the same company that we have right now. This was a pure robots in disguise. It was just Transformers, real spirit of the franchise, exactly what you expected, just a little more grown up than a kid's show. And then I look at what Transformers is now, and it's basically, it kind of became the Michael Bay movies where the Transformers themselves, they're just kind of there, but it's not about them. You know what I mean? It's about a greater narrative. It's about something that really isn't what people are going to a Transformers comic for. Whether that's some weird political intrigue or some social messaging or anything that's not typically why people want to watch Optimus Prime and Megatron beat each other up.
Yeah.
So I think they're really losing sight of what makes a comic good. And it's not just IDW. It's all the comic companies. It's just IDW is small enough to, be failing sooner and, lose the license to things like Transformers. And I think they lost the Star Wars license too.
G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe. Yeah. And The only reason that like Marvel and DC aren't hurting as bad is because they've been around a lot longer. They're much bigger, and they're also owned by much bigger companies, right? DC's owned by like AT&T, Marvel's owned by Disney. They can take those losses. They can operate at a loss till the end of time because they are owned by giant companies that can make up the difference. It's kind of like how YouTube operates at a loss every year because Google can just afford to take it. So yeah, they just have more backing. But if they didn't, they'd go under too. Honestly, nobody's reading their comics anymore. Just sad.
And I don't I see it happen, them closing up shop before long if the trend keeps going that way.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these guys that are writing in the comic industry are just doing it to get their writer credit so they can go on to screenwriting.
Yeah. Well, look at so the new writer for the main IDW is Brian Ruckley. And it's not so much that he's a bad writer, he's a novelist. And he's unfortunately trying to write the Transformers comics like a novel, which is why over like the last 2 years has been such a painful slog, like such a slow burn. Because unlike a novel where you can sit there and read it start to finish and get the whole story in one go, which gives you time to kind of stretch everything out, flesh it out, you get a comic maybe once a week. And lately, maybe more like once a month for a certain particular series. So when you stretch things out over that long, it gets boring. People lose interest, you know? They're like, hey, has the war started yet? We're 50 issues in. They're like, nope, not yet, not yet. Stay tuned. It's like, so I think that was a
It's
big
like
mistake on his part.
the first half hour of them or first hour of a movie setting up everything, and then all of a sudden you got 30 minutes to cram the war in.
That's kind of how it feels with this. And Ruckley might be a good novelist. I haven't read his stuff. I'll just assume he probably knows what he's doing because they must have thought he was good, but I don't think he was a good choice for that. And when you look at some of the side stories they've done, especially like the Constructicon ones, the one with Cliff Jumper and Deathsaurus, they feel much more like a return to form. They feel like the old IDW comics where it is a Transformer story before it's anything else. And it looks like maybe was it Skybound might be picking up the license, and I hope they take the right lessons from IDW and learn what to do and what not to do, and hopefully we'll just get some good Transformer stories. Because
if not, then we're not going to have any Transformers stories forever.
Yeah, that's a one reason I'm kind of sad to see IDW lose it, just because it means now we have lost that medium for the time being.
And we're in a limbo.
Yeah, so the action figure expert says IDW never had Star Wars. I thought they did. They didn't have Star Wars at all.
I have no idea. I never paid attention. Maybe it was Star Trek.
Yeah, maybe. I could have sworn
I think it was Star Trek because they did that crossover, that Infestation crossover.
Yeah. They definitely. I know they had Star Trek, and I thought they got Star Wars for a little bit. Aren't they the ones that did like the High Republic and all that stuff recently? I thought that was them.
No,
unless I'm misremembering. I thought that was them. But yeah, they really made the mistake that a lot of these media companies do is they build a big reputation. They think like, oh, we're too big to fail now. So we should start using our medium as like a platform for pushing things that aren't really related to the property that we're licensing out or the property that we own. And that's the problem is it's not even that I have an issue with the specific messaging. It's just that it doesn't have much of a place in these stories. Like if you want to say, hey, I believe in this, like there's places to do that. My story about space robots that turn into planes isn't where people want that to really pop up much. At least not so on the nose like it is. I mean, stories get told through, metaphor and allegory all the time. But back then people were clever about how they did it. A lot of people like to point to X-Men, like, oh, X-Men was an allegory for racism. Like, yes, exactly. It was an allegory for racism. It wasn't like you didn't have X-Men cartoons that focused on real life events because it's too close to home. Comics are an escapism. You know what I mean?
Fantasy.
People want to, it's fantasy. You really don't want the politics of today just swarming around what you have. And I think that's what's really pushing a lot of people away.
That also dates the comic too. It dates the story.
It does.
It's too entrenches a story into one particular time frame, one particular narrative. It's like it's so hard to do anything with Storm Shadow, or not Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes' background, or the Punisher's background, their original background, without completely gutting it and starting over,
Yeah.
because Vietnam War,
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do a Vietnam story because a lot of the kids don't even know what that is anymore. Like, a lot of
right?
them may not even know we had a Vietnam War. Um,
Or Korea.
yeah, or Korean War. Like, they probably think it's a pop album. It's a K-pop album, Korean War. Um, it is true, and there are certain issues that's one issue with comics as just a medium in general, is that to some extent it'll always date itself. When you have Spider-Man or Superman have been around for nearly a century, things that are depicted in the early Superman comics are considered ancient by today, and they have to just kind of ignore that and pretend like 80 years haven't passed by and technology is not completely different now.
Yeah.
Um, which like
Cars, for
yeah,
instance.
yeah. I mean, some of it you're just gonna have to accept of like, well, look, it's either that or we just like end the story and you have to move on to something else. So I kind of get that. Um, yeah, I think there are certain things that people, regardless of their beliefs, regardless of their political affiliations, they don't want to be lectured when they read a story about space robots. They don't
I don't
want.
want to be lectured when I read a story about anything. So,
Yeah, I mean they don't want to read a story about Storm the X-Man and hear her complaining about gentrification of black neighborhoods. Like, that's not why we went to an X-Men comic or any other comic. There's a time and place for those conversations. This is not that. And just because you have a platform doesn't mean it's the right platform to push your message on. I think that's the biggest issue right there. Everybody just wants to kind of co-op everything, you know what I mean? And just or co-opt and just kind of take it over and make it their own little public forum to yell at the masses on. So
and then they've all got different messages, so you can't really. I mean, it's just like a echo chamber of nonsense.
yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies in the message too, which is very
Doesn't help.
confusing
Doesn't
when you're
help
trying to push a
matters
unified
much.
message, but it's not all consistent either. So
And let's see, that takes care of comics. We pretty much bash comics.
I still love
We
comics though.
Yeah, I love good comics.
I'll maintain hope that Skydance or Skybound will do good things with Transformers. Here's
I mean,
hoping.
I've still got comics over there on my rack.
Oh yeah, look at that! You got a comic rack over there.
Yeah, I, I've got a couple of Devil's Due GI Joe versus Transformers episodes over there, or
Those are
issues.
good ones. Those
Those
are
are
excellent.
really
Yeah.
awesome. I love that storyline, or well, those storylines. I loved all of them. An old Star Comics Masters of the Universe, right there.
Oh really?
Yeah, the meteor, when the meteorbs showed up,
Yeah.
that issue,
Huh.
like
That's
issue
cool.
12 or 13, I don't remember. Uh, all kinds of stuff over there. Stuff from the club, from the collectors club.
Yeah.
Some IDW, old IDW.
See, I
Um,
I used to be a big comic guy. Like growing up as a kid, I did really like, I was huge on like X-Men and all that, love the Marvel. Now, I pretty much only buy the Transformers comics just because it's Transformers related. It's, a story, and I like to be up to date on like the different stories they have. Um, I don't collect comics really anymore. I used to have like a whole bunch of that stuff, old Spider-Man issues and stuff, but you got to kind of prioritize sometimes. And I spend
yeah,
no shortage of money on this. I can't really afford to branch out too much. The He-Man thing's pushing it. It was very expensive to get caught up on Origins when I first broke into it because I was so far behind on it, and dropped way more than I wanted to trying to play catch up.
I got 3 fakers.
3 fakers.
Yeah, I need
You
2
mean,
more.
what do you mean, like the Origins one, or?
Yeah, well, I got 3 Origins fakers and an Ultimates faker.
Oh, nice. I got I got the regular one, and I did get that PowerCon one with the cat, the duplicate.
Yeah, I want that one. I want an. Hold on.
Yep.
That was an Amber Alert
I
coming
kind of
across my
figured.
phone.
Yeah.
But I want that the Leo Faker and Duplicate because I want him to be like the leader of my little mini Faker army. He's like the sergeant leading the squad.
Do you know what the story is with that Faker? Like the one that comes like I know it's different. I don't know why it's different.
It
Uh,
when they went to India, the Indian toy laws or the retail laws in India were at the time that that the only thing that could be sold in India was from an Indian company.
mm,
So when Mattel went to go sell their product in India, they had to partner with a local manufacturer, and then they created a whole new entity called Leo Toys.
huh.
And when Leo Toys was putting out the figures, they were licensed. They were partially Mattel owned half the company, or just under half the company, 49%.
Mm,
They couldn't own. It had to be 51% or greater Indian owned. The company did. So they had to partner with somebody local in order to sell their stuff in the early 80s.
yeah. So
And
they made him look a little different.
that made him look a little different. Some of the decos changed on things. The Skeletor, for instance, has got a darker blue skin, more like Web Store
Oh yeah.
color, about the
Huh.
color of Web Store skin. Um, uh, Different things like that. I mean,
See, I didn't know that. I bought the set. I really want it for Duplicate because he's, I think the more interesting part. And I knew there's probably some story behind why that Faker looks the way he does, but I had no idea why. So I like the history
I
lesson
got a
there.
feeling that we're going to get a Duplicate released mainline, but he's going to look different. It's like the Lords of Power, Beastman and Merman.
Yeah. That Mattel seems to be pretty good about that. If anybody, missed out on the PowerCon version, there's usually just a slightly different retail version later, which I think is a cool way to go because,
Like
you don't want to lock everything behind a high paywall like that.
Shira, the PowerCon Shira had rooted hair,
Yep.
and the original vintage Shira packaging, that
Yeah.
that art style, and then the retail version had plastic hair. I actually prefer the retail version, and there's a possibility we may be getting a filmation version of Shira.
Oh, really?
When you look at China, which was one of the last figures in the Masters of the WWE universe,
Hmm.
it's
She does have that crown, doesn't she? I
yeah,
just realized that.
she is the Masters of the WWE universe version of Shira,
Huh.
but in purple.
Yeah, I didn't even make that connection until you mentioned it. And I'm like, oh, she does have the mask, doesn't she? Like the little thing on the side there. So that makes sense. I could see that.
I mean, I can't see them tooling that and not planning on using it later.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of the WWE stuff seems to be like a precursor to what's coming later. So
And actually, if you take John Cena's legs, his lower legs, he's got that bare lower leg because of the shorts
Mhm.
below the quote unquote boot cut, and then take the Beastman sock feet, and then put that on Ninjor with regular um, uh, barbarian arms,
Mhm.
and then just paint it white. You got Slamurai.
That's true. They got a lot of options out there. Honestly, I'm surprised they've been as slow as they have to get some of these out. I don't know. Origins feels like it's in a weird place right now where there's not too much known about what's coming. Could just be that Mattel's better at keeping their leaks intact than Hasbro is because like we already know what's coming for like the next year because of
Yeah,
leakers, and
and,
Mattel
and
you don't
because of
usually know.
and because of that, people that are fans of both Hasbro products and Mattel products, Hasbro properties, Mattel properties, we kind of get that feeling like Motu is going under because there's no new information coming.
Yeah, we have that expectation because of Transformers that like we're gonna know everything ahead of time, and
We're going to have something new every week. We're going to get some
yeah,
new news every week. Every week they're going to tell us, we're going to find out something. Someone's going to leak something. We're going to know something every week, and it doesn't happen.
yeah. Old JT
So,
Prime, he's like the hero of the Transformers community right now because he just leaks everything.
uh, I cannot wait until that Nemesis or that Scourge repaint, that
Oh yeah.
Velocitron Scourge. Oh, I
What's
am hoping
interesting is that they're calling him what they calling him Black
Black
Convoy, I
Convoy,
think. Which I hope that means he's actually going to have those the Commandtron symbols, like the upside down
the
G2 symbol
Combattron.
instead. Yeah, instead of the
He might come
Decepticon
with
ones.
he might come with the sticker sheet that has both,
I would take that. That way you can choose, if you
because
want one or
they
the other.
what was it, the Power of the Primes, not Power of the Primes, Combiner Wars, the evil, it was a Takara release, the 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 gold and black Optimus Prime
Oh, the
repaint.
Grand Scourge.
Yeah, the Grand Scourge.
Yeah.
It came with a decal sheet that you could choose what emblem to put on it.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he had that. I never got that guy.
Yeah, you could put the Decepticon symbols, you could put the Combattron symbols, and there was something else you could put on him. I can't remember.
Hmm. That's pretty cool. I hope they do that for this guy. That way you can just
That
you
that
can
would
do
be
Scourge
beast.
or Black Convoy, depending on what you want. There's a guy I follow on Instagram. It's called Trans Rouse Unlimited. Have you seen his thing?
I think I have, but
So
I
he's a
can see.
Transformers collector, and like as proud as I am of my little collection, this guy has everything. It is, I don't know. He must own like a museum for his Transformers because he'll get the newest thing and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, let's compare him with the G1 and this one and this one, and also the rare limited edition gold colored, lucky draw one." I mean, this guy blows my mind and makes me feel real bad about my collection because like he would have any obscure thing you can think of. This guy pretty much has, and it is impressive.
He won the lottery and invested all his money and now lives on the dividends.
Like he must because either that or he's just been collecting for such a long time that he's been able to just kind of hunt these things down before they went up to hundreds or thousands of dollars because
Or he's just
he's
like
got everything.
ridiculously rich.
He could be.
I mean, got old money.
Maybe. But yeah, I would check him out. It's a
Hey,
Trans Rouse Unlimited. He's got an
he's
amazing collection.
related to the Trump family somehow,
Could be. He could be. You never know.
or Howard Hughes.
He's Baron Trump. He's secretly Baron Trump sitting there in his Transformer room. That's why he's so quiet. You never hear from him. He's too busy collecting Transformers.
That would be funny if that was the truth.
We should go like spread that conspiracy around there. Baron Trump, Transformers collector. We could get people to believe it. People believe about anything these days.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but
And if you slant it to where it's bad mouthing him for it, then they'll believe it even more and spread the word.
they'll play it on the news.
Oh yeah.
This just in. Baron Trump irresponsibly spends his money on Transformers instead of donating to starving children in Guatemala or something. I don't know. What a disgusting, selfish human. Yeah.
I can actually see that happening.
Oh, it
No
would.
joke.
My favorite was the. Did you ever see the 2 ice cream scoop story?
No.
Oh, this is getting so political now. Jesus, what am I doing? Um, so uh, back when Trump was the president, I think it was like during his first year, CNN ran this story where he like housed a few world leaders at the White House and treated them to like a dinner, and they brought out dessert, and all these world leaders they got like a scoop of ice cream and a little plate. Well, Trump asked for two because he wanted ice cream, and they're like, "Look at this tyrant! This is despicable! Look at this absolute
Oh yeah,
display and
I do
abuse of
remember that.
power!" Because he had two scoops of ice cream on his plate, and I'm like, "This
And
is why
everybody
nobody
else
takes you
only had one.
seriously." Yeah, like this is why no one takes you seriously because instead of covering like actual problems, you talk about stupid stuff like this. And that way, if the man ever does anything wrong, no one's going to take you seriously. They're almost kind of being like his best friend in that regard because if he ever actually did something really bad, nobody'd be like, it's just CNN. Who cares? It's like the boy who cried wolf, where they had to report on every single little thing. And it was so aggravating to watch because it's like, look, I don't like that our institutions no longer have credibility. That's not a good place you want the country to be in, but that's where we're at. And that's really all news stations now are really bad about that. It's all just a partisan turf war at this point. News doesn't matter. Just scoring points on your other team is what matters now.
And ratings.
And ratings, yeah.
Yeah.
Boy,
Ratings
we're
are
on
the
the
big
weeds
thing.
now. We are
Ratings
super
are
on
the
the
big
weeds
thing.
here.
My ratings suck right now, so yeah.
Well, you should start bad mouthing somebody on here like a public figure and just get super hyper partisan. People start tuning in.
What about that PvP guy? Isn't he trash? Take the easy target.
Man.
Tauntaun.
Yeah, I noticed Tauntaun kind of disappeared.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Now that actually worries me a little bit. I've heard there's some people I used to actually stream with a bit. Apparently, the country that he lives in, it is like very much frowned upon for grown men to partake in like collecting action figures and stuff. To the point where like they'll destroy your life over, like they'll like send you to jail and stuff. I don't know if that's true. I'm not sure. I forget the country that he lives in, but apparently they are just like not tolerant of adults basically engaging in like kids behavior. So I guess he was like kind of putting himself on the line by doing that. I'm not saying I'm not excusing like the toy theft, but I'm just saying the fact that he just kind of disappeared one day. I'm like, oh god, I hope like something didn't happen to him. Like I disapprove of their way of doing the reviews, but like I hope the guy's not in a jail cell somewhere, not, or at least not because he likes toys,
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know how true any of that is.
Maybe
That might have just
for
been some
theft.
sob story he made up too. I don't know.
Maybe for theft.
But yeah,
If that was
maybe
the
if they want to come
case.
after him for like stealing stuff, I can't feel too bad because he
Or
brought that on
receiving
himself.
stolen property. Because
Yeah.
that's still a big no-no.
Oh yeah, you see a lot of very wealthy people get in trouble because like some expensive sculpture they bought was actually stolen from a nation or something, and they want it back, and they either first they have to prove that they weren't like responsible for it being stolen and that they didn't know, and then they're usually expected to give it back. And if they try not to give it back, they can find themselves in a lot of hot water. So
Yeah.
just saying, for the reviewers that say like, well, it's not like I stole it. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You're just as liable for the theft. Like you knowingly received stolen goods. That's still illegal. Like, sorry. Yeah. I don't know. I have to question sometimes whether how much of my anger at the theft is truly because it's just wrong and how much of it is just the massive disadvantage it puts people at that don't steal figures. Because I'll
I
tell
I
you
I don't see
that,
it as a disadvantage. I see it as we have integrity and they don't.
well, yeah, for sure. But when I talk about, when you're talking about growing a YouTube channel, getting viewership, all that, um, part of it, a big part of it is unfortunately trying to be the first guy to get something out there. And some people do it legitimately to where if they can get a hold of it sooner, cool. And then some people don't care about the morality of it and they will steal stuff to get it out there first.
And then we got Jay Holla that miraculously finds everything.
Well, that's because he lives in New
Le-
York City. He just They got everything over there.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing: the Targets around where he's at don't really give a crap about street dates for the most part.
Yeah.
Stuff's not supposed to come out for another 2 months, but it's in the stores. He's got photos of it in the store
Oh yeah.
on the shelf.
Yeah. And he's really lucked out as far as just being in the right place at the right time. And I'll never hold that against somebody. Like if your circumstance just happens to be better, like we're based on where you live, like I used to be better off. I lived in New Jersey for about 4 years. That was a good place to be. It was kind of like New York, where typically if I wanted to find something, I'd get it pretty quickly. I live in Kentucky now. Kentucky, as far as shipping, is a total flyover state. People have stuff in hand for weeks before we even start to see it here. And
Which part of the state are you in?
I'm, I guess, more toward the east side, kind of in the middle. About 30
Yeah,
minutes from Lexington.
yeah, I know where that's at. Yeah, it's pretty much dead there.
Yeah.
If you were in like Louisville or maybe in Lexington proper,
Mm.
your odds would be better
Oh yeah,
because
for
they're
sure.
major hubs. But outside of that area, you're pretty much not getting shit.
Oh yeah. And now I live, within a decent driving distance of the Lexington stores. That's where like the closest targets to me are in Lexington. But because it's such a drive, I can't just pop in there whenever I want. Like it's not
Right.
on the way to work or anything. I have to go really out of my way just to check. And that's a lot of wasted gas just to drive back and forth in the hopes that something might be there. So
That's why you get the store's numbers and call.
yeah, I haven't had any luck on that end here. I did know some guys that worked at the Targets in Jersey, and they would at least let me know, like, oh, hey, were you? They would just call me like or text and like, were you looking for this? Like, we have that thing in if you want it. No shady stuff, no holding anything. They would just be nice enough to let me know if something came in, just so I wasn't driving back and forth constantly.
Right.
Save me a trip. So that was pretty cool. And I haven't gotten in good with any of the guys around here yet to do that. But it'd be
And
nice.
given the distance, it's kind of
Yeah, yeah.
difficult. Yeah, it's like
So,
I got one target that's technically en route to my house
mm,
from work, but it's still not easy to get there because it's not directly en route. It's
mm,
about 5 minutes out of the way, 10 minutes out of the way extra, and I got to go up the freeway and exit, and then but that's like the easiest
yeah.
one to get to. But considering I've got an hour commute to and from work, taking the extra time to stop at Target just because I want to,
Yeah. It's not always practical, that's for sure.
it's extremely impractical because it screws my sleep schedule up.
Mm,
And if I don't get enough sleep, I'm not behind the wheel of an 80,000 pounds of rolling death, and it's my
yeah.
responsibility to keep it from actually doing what it wants to do, and that's kill people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. You got to definitely look after yourself and stuff, before the toys. And
I mean that truck wants to kill me and everybody else around me, and it's my responsibility to keep it from doing that.
yeah, yeah. My hometown, I'll tell you, they have, we're not hometown, but the town I live in now, they have most of the stores you'd be looking for. Like there's a Walmart, there's Kroger, Meyer, all that. The one thing we don't have is Target. I swear, if they would build a Target in this city, that would make my life so much easier. That is like the one thing I'm missing that I have to like
That
drive
that's the
out
same
for.
same thing here. I
Yeah.
live in Rome, Georgia, which is a relatively decently developed area.
Mm,
No Target.
yep. Yeah, this place has a big, main highway with all the storefronts. You got every, movie theaters, restaurants. I mean, not a small town at all. It's a city proper. For some reason, they just haven't built a Target here, and I'm like, you guys are killing me. Like, that is the thing I need more than anything here is a Target, more than Walmart, more than anything else. But
My wife said if they built a Target here, she hates Target. She literally hates Target, but she hates Walmart so much more
yeah,
that if they built a Target, she would never step foot in a Walmart ever again.
I don't blame her. I don't blame her. Walmart's pretty terrible. Target's more costly, but it's just much more pleasant store to be in. Doesn't feel dirty everywhere you go, you know?
And generally, with rare exception, the people in Target seem to be friendlier.
Mhm.
I mean, we have had some since Christmas. The one Walmart that had the reputation for being really bad customer service has completely flipped the script.
Really?
And the one toward, because we live right in between two towns out in the sticks, and so depending on which direction we go to when we get to the main highway, we're going to one town, we're going to the other. We're either going into Rome or we're going further south. And the one in Rome that we normally go to used to have really good customer service, and then all of a sudden they're like, people look at you like you got bugs crawling out of your ears when you try and ask them a question, and they're like, "Why are you talking to me?"
Yep. Yep.
And then, but we go to the other place, and the staff is just like, "Hey, and we got this, and we got this, and if there's anything else we can help you with, just let me know."
It's true. Target employees, they seem to not only be more knowledgeable of, what they can do and like what their job entails, but they also do seem more willing and eager to help you.
It's almost like that Walmart stole a bunch of Target employees.
Maybe they did. Maybe they did. Um, but that's always been my experience is, if I go to a Target and I'm looking for something, uh, and say, the system says there's some in stock but it's not on the shelf, I can go up to one of the guys that works around toys or electronics and just nicely ask him like, "Hey, I was wondering if you could look at a DCPI number for me real quick." And they'll look it up in their thing and they'll tell you if they have it. And if they do have it, they'll actually go back there or ask someone to go back there and look for it, or they'll tell you if another store has it. Um, Whereas Walmart, you could go up and be like, "Hey, your website said you had this. I was wondering if maybe you have some in the back." They're like, I don't know. Or they'll say, if it's not on the shelf, it's not here, which is a lie. Anyone that tells you if it's not on the shelf, it's not here is lying to you. All right.
That
There are. Target helped you get
that
that?
yeah, they had one in the store,
Yep.
and it was hidden behind a bunch of boxes.
People do that. Yeah, they'll try to hide stuff for their friends and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, they'll either tell you, "Oh, if it's not on the shelf, we don't have it," which is an outright lie. I can tell you because I worked there and I had to stock the shelves. Or they'll either play dumb or really just have no idea. They'll be like, "Oh, I don't know." And again, I believe you should be very kind to retail employees. Like, never give them an attitude, never act entitled, because one, I mean, you should treat people nicely, but also they tend to respond better. So I'm never rude. I always ask nicely for stuff. And the Walmart employees are like almost hostile when you ask them for things. Like, they want to fight you. And it's like, look, man, I know you hate your life, but come on. You don't got to be like
I
that.
didn't do it. It's not my fault.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm
Take it
not the
out on
one
me.
that's like paying you garbage money and making you work at this place. You take that up with your employer, and that might be part of it too. Is I think Target employees are just happier overall. It's probably not the most amazing place to work, but they're probably happier than Walmart employees. I know I would
No,
be.
you'd almost have to be.
Yeah. Boy, we went all over the place with topics tonight, didn't we?
Well, the premise of
Talking
Shop
about
Talk,
presidents and stuff
the premise of Shop Talk is we talk about whatever and toys.
and toys.
So
I like that.
so
Whatever and
we
toys.
still kept on topic. That was the premise that I came up with to begin with. Because I'm a truck driver. I like to talk about all kinds of crazy stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you
And
see
my
a lot
brain,
too when you're out there.
oh God.
Yeah,
Yeah, the craziest things, I've seen some really crazy things happening on the road. I was stuck in Chicago one time in
yeah.
traffic in Chicago on the freeway, and I look over out my passenger window, and there's a black girl and an old white guy in this old beater pickup truck, and she's on her knees with
Oh
her
my.
head in his lap,
Oh
and
my.
she was like 18 maybe.
Well, she was probably not doing that for free.
Probably
You see
not.
an 18-year-old with an old man in a pickup truck is probably not because she likes him.
I, I'm not even certain she was 18, and her
Ooh.
shorts were so short that they left nothing to the imagination.
Oh man.
I mean, I've seen thong bikinis with more fabric than these blue jean shorts.
Dental floss shorts.
Exactly.
One single fiber of denim. Right there.
Right.
Yeah. I worked at a Hess gas station when I was younger and I was a teenager. And we were like right there on like the edge of meth town, basically, where I lived. And lot of prostitution there, a lot of real bad drug use, tons of meth heads. And like it was just normal to see these girls that, I mean, you weren't even sure if they were old enough to graduate high school, and they'd be out there, turning a trick and making money. And there was one that just depressed me because she was pregnant, like super knocked up. I don't know if she was even 18. She would, show up all the time. Or I guess she had to be of age because she would always come and buy alcohol and cigarettes. Hugely pregnant, just buying, 6 packs and cartons of Marlboros and stuff, and going out there and, doing stuff for money. And I just look at them like, God, that isn't the saddest situation I've ever seen. Like that kid is going to be so messed up when it comes out, if it survives, because
Right.
she didn't slow down one bit.
Mm-mm-mm.
It's a shame,
Yeah, I've got some real. Well, me and my wife both have some real strong opinions in situations like that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just it's
uh,
a sad
we're
thing.
both Southern and we're both kind of redneck. So
Yeah.
hence my channel name.
Yep.
Well, the old channel name before I had to change it because some idiot wanted to steal
Is
my
that what that was
channel.
about? So was trying to
Yeah,
steal it?
someone stole my Instagram. Someone hacked my Instagram account and stole it.
Oh. I was wondering why
And
I thought you were just rebranding just because you wanted to.
no, so they stole my Instagram account, and my Instagram account had my Rolling Redneck Reviews brand. So I'm having to come up with a new Instagram account. So I come up with the real Triple R, and I was like, oh, well, crap, I might as well just run with it. So I did.
There you go. That works. Oh.
And everybody called me Triple R anyway. So
Yeah, you might as well just roll with it, right? Flows off the tongue easily.
yeah. But yeah. So uh, I've seen Chris Benoit helping his limo driver change a flat on the
Chris
freeway.
Benoit, huh?
Yeah, back in the day, it was years ago. That was a
Well, that's
long time ago.
boy, that's a big contrast to how he went out, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, according to rumors, according to everybody, he was just the nicest guy most of the time. Just
Well, it looked like a
one bad.
cocktail between like steroids and painkillers just kind of drove him nuts. What it
Yeah,
seemed to be. And
and I kind of blame the career field, the industry,
oh yeah, I mean
because
that's a
they
very
push.
abusive job to have. I mean, you just beat yourself up constantly.
Yeah, and that pressure to always perform. So I mean, I can see it.
Yeah, you
And
know that.
then
What's that?
there was another thing that happened. I saw a really messed up accident too. I don't want to talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, living in Jersey, I had to take like one of the big highways there called I-295,
I know
and that
295.
place, yeah, that place was just a magnet for horrible accidents. Like
Oh
I
God,
remember seeing, it was like an SUV or a minivan or something.
that was the road that I was on that bad accident that I didn't want to talk about was on.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah, that's not surprising at all. I saw one where like they had hit the on ramp to get on the highway, and they hit it like so hard that they ended up sending this like minivan or SUV like flying and like landed upside down and then just burst into flames. And By the time I drive by and see this, there's just nothing but the blackened frame of the upside down vehicle left. And I looked at that. I'm like, how fast do you have to hit an on ramp to the highway to achieve? That's impressive. I'm sure whoever was in there was
You know the
long
divider
gone.
walls,
What's that?
those concrete divider walls.
Yeah.
Saw a car get hit one of those things so fast that it split it in half.
Wow. That. Yeah, I'm glad I don't live there anymore. Seems like a big old death trap up there.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I got
Well,
rear-ended by a semi
not
truck over
quite
there.
split it in half, but mine as well have been.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a semi completely crush the car I was in one time when I was up there. It's like stopped in traffic, morning traffic, everything's completely at a standstill. And I'm in the back of this, glob of stopped cars. And then all of it, I just hear this like god awful screech. I look at my rear view and there's a fully loaded semi just bearing down on me, like slamming on their brakes. And I'm just like, oh man, this is it. I think it was 30 at the time. So I was like, man, I guess it's been a good 3 decades, but this is it for me. Like, there's no way I'm walking away from this. Because I couldn't go anywhere. I was between the divider wall, a car next to me, and a car in front of me. I was like just completely pocketed in there. Wasn't going anywhere. All I could do was just hold on, And he slammed right into me, smashed my car into the red SUV in front of me, and I somehow walked away from that pretty much unscathed. Like my wrist hurts sometimes, and that's about it.
Um,
That's scary.
I was coming out of Philly, and I don't remember the name of the road that I was on. It was a big bridge, and I'm in the slow lane, so I've got like a foot off of my driver's tire. There's that concrete barrier wall,
Mm.
and it's pretty much gridlock. And this kid in this old beater sedan, and I don't even remember what make it was, tried to force me to let him in.
Mm.
I'm 80,000 pounds, like 60, 70 feet long.
Yeah. He really thinks he's going to do something, huh?
Yeah, and he's in a little compact sedan. I could probably bench press this car.
Yep.
And he hits my truck. I set my brakes. I sit there and call the cops. Cops come out there. We wait on the cops. There's damage to his car, damage to my truck. Cop goes. He's trying to tell the cop that I changed lanes into him. And the cop goes and takes him to his car and to my truck and says, look at this. See this damage right here?
Yeah.
Look at your car. See this damage right here? If what you were telling me was fact, this damage on your car right here would be on the other side.
Yep.
Because it was the passenger side of his car and the driver's side of my truck that was messed up. Not the other way around.
Yeah, I'll tell you, people are, I don't know, they just don't care. They think they can get away with murder. Like, I had somebody hit and run me in a government vehicle. Like, I was driving a government vehicle with 2 passengers in it, like 2 people's kids that they were entrusting me with to like transport them safely. And this guy just slams right into me and like doesn't just like hit me and then realize like, oh, I hit this person, like back away, hits me and then keeps pushing me over into the left lane, causing the car that's there to panic, slam on her brakes, which causes the car behind her to slam into her and like total both those cars. This guy just like pushes my car and then just drives away, just speeds off. And this was on 295 also. And I'm just dumbfounded. I'm like, why? Like, the cops weren't chasing him. This guy just decided he absolutely had to be in that center lane and was going to physically push me out of the way to get there. So I don't know. But you couldn't do anything. It was a hit and run. He was gone before I ever had a chance to read the license plate. And the way government vehicles work anyway, they don't really have insurance. They basically just pay whatever the difference is. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell anyone that. I mean, I'm not in anymore, so whatever. But yeah, like they don't have insurance on those vehicles. They just pay whatever the damage is. Period.
Well, they
Cheaper
are
in the
their
long
own.
run.
They're their own insurer.
Basically, yeah.
They're
Like they don't.
self-insured, so
Yeah, they're not going to pay some company to insure them when they just have the pockets to pay out when they need to. So, um, yeah, it was actually on Valentine's Day, so I guess we're coming up on an
technically
anniversary there.
with auto insurance, if you have a net worth over a certain threshold, you don't have to carry auto insurance
I just developed a new goal in life.
to be that
I need to
rich.
reach this net worth, so I don't have to worry about insurance anymore. I hate it.
Because at that point you're self-insured. You have to carry a notarized document on you that stating how much money you have, that you have enough money to cover the damages,
Mhm.
any possible damages that there may be. And then you got to worry about some money hungry schmuck trying to sue you into oblivion.
Yep,
But yeah, so presumably, if you got that kind of money, you've got enough to hire a good lawyer or a team of good lawyers that'll completely trash anything the schmuck may have come up with.
that's true.
The ambulance chaser the schmuck's using.
Yeah, you do got to watch out. That's why I think the smart people that are wealthy that are smart, they don't show off how wealthy they are. They'll
Right.
just be that guy in like jeans and a t-shirt rolling up in their Hyundai, and you don't know that they're worth like $3 million. They just show up, go to the gas station for a coffee, and you just think they're just some guy. That way, nobody's targeting them. No one knows who they are. I think those are the smart, wealthy people, the ones that do not flaunt
Or those that look like old podunk farmers,
it. Mm,
but has a wad of hundreds like
yeah.
this big around wrapped in a rubber band,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's their pocket money.
Yep. Oh, to be one of those people. You just have fat stacks of cash laying around. You don't have to worry about anything. One day,
That
maybe
would be
one day.
that would be lovely.
It would.
I I think I would pay this house off and give it to my daughter, and then buy my own place and have it custom built.
Well, I'll tell you, the housing market, cost everything's going up right now. My home, since I bought it less than 3 years ago, it's gone up $50,000 in value. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
but see,
like
my
I'm
base
half tempted
material,
to sell this thing, just make $50,000. Like,
my base material has gone down in value.
really?
Yeah, because have you seen some of these container homes that are made from truck containers?
I've heard of them. I don't know if I've actually seen pictures of them though.
Oh, some of them look phenomenal. They look
Oh yeah.
yeah, they look great. Have used that, and containers are dirt cheap right now because they can't get them off the docks.
That's true. Pretty much pay you to take them off their hands.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, honestly, I like my property, but I'll tell you, if it goes up much more and I can make like a cool 100 grand difference, I'll just sell the place and downsize and just, buy like another place for 150, 200 or something and just pocket that difference and pay off every debt I have and just be golden. Never worry about money again. Be nice. Be real nice. I
You'd
like
still
this
have to
place though. I don't want to give it up. I enjoy
yeah,
it.
yeah. I would recommend against that.
Yeah. Well, again, it's something. It's a funny thought. Something I've thought about, but this is the first time I've had a place where I don't have transformers in storage. Like I have them out where they belong, and I love this. Like
Same.
took me 21 years to finally be able to have my whole collection out there, not have a bunch of stuff just wasting away in cardboard boxes and totes. So it would be really hard to downsize. I mean, I'm actually out of room in here. That new shelf I just put in, it's got like the black Xeric on it. That's it. That is the last shelf that's going to fit in this room. And then after that, I don't know. Like my kid's not old enough to move out yet. Otherwise, I'd just kick him out and knock this wall down over here. Just combine the two rooms.
Too bad you don't have a basement.
I wanted one. I my goal when we were house shopping was to get something that had a nice finished basement, and there was a house that we were going to go in on that it was a full basement, like the entire footprint of the house, and it
Yeah.
was finished and it was great, and that was going to be my room. I mean, that'd be huge if it was like the same same footprint as this whole house. That's a big room, and we were all in on it, and apparently somebody offered them like cash up front. So even though we had already they'd already accepted our offer, they just basically bailed on us and just took the cash payment, and that was that.
Yeah.
I don't know who's
That's
got all that cash sitting around. It's probably some sort of investment company. I know there's a lot of companies right now that are going around buying up places, like putting cash down and a lot of times overpaying to buy it up and then subdivide it and turn it like rental homes, which makes it very difficult for a normal person to buy a house in a market like that.
yeah.
Because you can't outcompete a multi-billion-dollar company like Blackstone. Like you're just not going to. And I think that's what happened to that house. I think they saw it was way too valuable and they weren't ready to let that go, so they just threw cash at it.
I can see that. People are greedy.
Yeah,
I just want my plastic crack.
yeah, me too. But I need somewhere to put it too. That's the problem.
I just want a plastic crack, and I want my wife to be happy.
Yeah, my wife's.
Not necessarily in that order.
Yeah, my wife's doing pretty good. She's got her own. The house has basically 2 living rooms, so one of them is just like her room now. It's got all her bookshelves and all that. And I went and planted her a cherry blossom tree in the yard like I promised I would. So she's pretty much like good. She's just coasting now and enjoying life. So feel
That
accomplished.
would work.
Hmm?
Nothing. Thinking out loud.
Oh, yeah. So it's a good place. It's nothing lavish, but I've been pretty happy here.
I like my house.
The only downside is it's kind of old. So I do have to worry about, material and stuff maybe aging poorly.
I had a problem with a water tank. The main line coming off the hot water tank
Mm.
started leaking up under the house.
Oh wow.
So all of that hot water draining into the house, and we didn't know it.
Yeah.
Now all my subfloors are bowed and buckled, and I'm
Oh
having to
man.
replace all of them. So I'm like, crap.
I had a sump issue not long ago where our sump pump just stopped working at some point. And it's one of those things you don't really think about, right? Like it's automatic, right? It has a little floater switch, so once the sump gets to a certain level, it just kicks on and flushes everything. But you don't really think about it, like it just runs when it's supposed to. So what we didn't realize it had stopped running, so it wasn't pumping out the sump. And one day I was in my son's room downstairs, and his floor was wet, his carpet was wet, and I'm like, "What is that?" And I realized it was coming from behind the walls. And eventually found out it's because the sump pump had just given up at some point, and all that rainwater and all that was just filling up and working for the low point, working its way up. So I had to replace so much there. Like it was nasty. I had to check for black mold and all that. Luckily, no mold. I guess we caught it soon enough to where there wasn't any mold behind the walls or anything. But yeah, that wasn't fun. That was not cool.
What was really bad is not only do I have to replace my subfloors, which I haven't been able to get taken care of yet, but that water bill that came in after the fact.
Oh, because it's all just yeah.
And then the power bill that came in after the fact, because it's the hot water tank and it's continuously running. And I was like, oh man, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. We had my yard was flooding out here some months back. One day I go out there and there's like a stream forming because I live on a hill, and there's like a stream just going from like behind the fence line at the top of the property all the way down, and everything was nasty and muddy. And
Too bad you didn't have the Cobra water moccasin to set in that, because it'd be perfect because it's a swamp buggy.
Oh yeah. wasn't that big, but it was just couldn't figure out where this water was coming from, and eventually near the top I see a spot where it's kind of like a puddle, and there was like a little kind of a hole in the ground. So I kind of went and just kind of like dug my finger in there and put it on, and then water started bubbling up out of this hole. So it was coming from under the ground. And I realized like that is a busted water main. Somebody's water main busted, and that is what is bubbling up out of the ground and flooding my property. So we got, the water company out here, and thankfully it was upstream of anybody's meter. Like, if that had not been, whoever was downstream of that thing would have been paying an astronomical water bill, because it was just like when they got their backhoe thing in here and like shoveled that up and finally got the dirt off of it, it was a geyser. I mean, water was just shooting out of this thing. So imagine if it had been happening for weeks or months before anyone noticed it, like how much water has been lost to that main.
Mm-mm-mm.
And it's weird that they hadn't picked that up. You'd think like there would be some sort of detection or meter showing like unusual, flow rates or certain areas, but no, it took us calling to get them out there to fix it. They're supposed to come back and level it all off
Hey,
once it
David
dried
Hill.
out.
Well, I guess he left. We didn't see him come in and didn't say
Oh
nothing.
yeah,
So
too busy talking.
yeah, that happens sometimes.
Yeah, get too into it. Oh, let's see, 8:30. Getting a little late.
Yeah, I need to go
May have
ahead
to
and jump
reel it
off
in a
here.
bit 'cause I gotta get the kids to bed and stuff.
You go get those kitties to bed, and I'm gonna go spend some time with the wife and have another cup of coffee because my cup's empty.
Coffee sounds good right now. I'm getting tired. Still got too much work to do to go to sleep yet.
I've got two designs for new mugs that I'm gonna put up,
Oh, nice.
and a hat and a shirt.
I haven't done the merch thing yet.
Yeah,
I'm kind of,
there's it's kind of a point that why bother doing the merch with I'm at 100 subscribers or 101 whatever, but I want the stuff just for myself.
you just want to be able to have it.
So
I
I
mean,
mean,
that
I got,
works.
and if I'm going to have it myself, I might as well have it available if anybody does decide that they want it. And I know M3 said he can't wait.
Mhm.
He's going to have one of the Triple R mugs and pour his beer in the Triple R mug and drink his beer from the Triple R mug.
Nice. I tried branching out a little bit. So the membership thing that YouTube does.
Yeah.
So there was kind of like a rash where they started granting a bunch of people memberships, and I was kind of slow to get that, but eventually they cleared me for it, and I tried doing that, and I made a thing, made like a whole video about it. Oh, had tiers, all that. Not a single person signed up, and I was like, I was so defeated. I'm like, man, like nobody, not one. And I thought try to make it to like make it worth everyone's while, and make it something cool rather than just saying like, oh, I want money. It's like, no, no, like we're gonna do cool stuff with this. And let it run for a few months, and not a single person signed up out of like all the subscribers and everything. I'm like, man, that makes me feel not good. Like I felt a little. I didn't. I slowed down the videos for a bit because I felt so like defeated. Like, am I doing something wrong here? I eventually turned it off because it's like I wasn't even checking on it anymore. So I didn't want people to like sign up and then have me not even notice and them not get their money's worth. So I eventually just turned it off completely. Maybe down the road, if the channel gets bigger, I'll try it again. But yeah, it didn't work out very well the first time. So I've been kind of reluctant to dip my toes in anything else since then because it made me feel terrible about myself.
I went and I hadn't done a video on my channel in like over a year.
Mm,
It had been sitting there pretty much dead for over a year.
mm.
And now since I've come back, I've pretty much doubled my content in just a couple of weeks,
Yeah,
like three
I'll
or four
tell you,
weeks.
like, I would not consider myself a success story because given how long I've been doing this, I don't, but I wouldn't say I've unlocked anything. But I'll tell you, if you just keep going and you just keep putting stuff out there, even if you don't feel like it will grow. It may not grow as fast as you want it to. God knows mine hasn't, but it will. Like you'll always keep picking people up as long as you're putting content out. When I stop putting out content, I mean, there's been times I've gone months without doing it. Oh man, the subscribers just die off. Like you just stop gaining, and then it's really hard to get the ball rolling again when you do start producing, like you won't see a big change, like a big rise in views or subscribers at all for a while, because YouTube really doesn't like it when you slack off, you know.
Yeah, that they want that constant fix.
You're on that
I
hamster
really need to
wheel.
get yeah, I really need to get more content out, but at least I'm getting something out every week, except for last
Yeah.
week I didn't get Jack out, but that I had special circumstances there, so
Yeah. It's also rough too when you work a full-time job to just make the time and, justify doing it.
yeah, they want people that don't do anything and just sit at home
Yeah.
and make content for them, and
I
then
was
they'll give
joking with
the
my
people
wife,
something
like I
else.
should have been I should tell my wife I should have been the stay-at-home spouse. Like she needs to go off to work and I'll just stay here and make YouTube videos all day. That's what it should have been. But
Yeah,
no, I had to go and be the breadwinner. Oh, now I can't do anything fun. So yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, I better start getting going. Just because
Yeah,
of
you
that.
gotta go take care of those
Yeah.
kids, get them to bed, and
I enjoyed this though. It was fun to just get on and talk, and just BS a little bit. It's always a good
yeah,
time.
we went off the rails quite a bit
Oh
though.
yeah. I hope that doesn't go back to bite me. I usually do not talk politics at all. I keep that completely separate from the channel. I screwed up tonight though. 'Cause I well shared a little more than I normally do.
Well, to be perfectly fair, there's so few people that watch my channel that it would be almost impossible for the word to get out. So,
You'd be surprised. I
yeah,
remember there was a guy I used to watch, and like he was like very successful, like nearly 1 million subscribers. His whole career, like his YouTube career, like went bottom up and never really recovered because somebody found a stream that he did, not even on YouTube. It was like it was like a podcast or something, and he said some things that the intent wasn't bad, but it's just words you don't say, kind of like where Rogan's at right now. Um, and like Patreon dropped him, it was a whole big thing, and a lot of places like canceled him with payment processors, and like he just has never recovered from that. So you'd be surprised, like if you make the wrong people mad, they'll find stuff. They'll find like a MySpace post from 2000 where you said something like out of hand, and they'll just come at you for it. It's pretty crazy.
whatever.
That's the world we're in now, though. Make content
If
over
someone gets pissed at me and wants to come at me, I fine, bring it.
come at me, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, at the end of the day, like, what are they going to do? Cancel my plastic robot channel? Like, I'll make a new one. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll find another outlet if YouTube wants to cancel me off of here. So
I'll go on Spotify. Apparently, they'll have your back.
there you
They'll keep
go.
you on no matter what. That's where you go now.
But I'm gonna let you go ahead and sign us out here. Take us out of here.
All right. Well, appreciate everyone that tuned in, or anyone that watches this after the fact. And thank you, Triple R, for having me on. I always love just getting a chance to go on and talk with people. Love that stuff. Breaks the monotony of just sitting there like, this is Soundwave and he's real good. Something a little new.
Speaking of, this is Soundwave
Yeah,
and
there
he's
he
real
is.
good.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, I mean, definitely anyone that's just now tuning in, make sure to subscribe to Triple R's channel, give him that audience that he so rightly deserves. If you want to check my stuff out as well, feel free to. You can always find me at TF Collector. And hope anyone watching this enjoyed the conversation we had.
His best videos are his Motu videos. Just gonna say that.
Oh, really? Okay.
I like them.
I'm glad you do. They do not get the numbers that the Transformer ones do. And I don't know if it's an algorithm thing or what, because
Yes.
sometimes they won't even break 100.
There's not that many Motu fans. So
there's this one channel. They're fairly new from what I can tell, and they're smaller, but they've like unlocked the secret. It's like two guys that get on there and talk about Motu. Like all their stuff, like within an hour, has over 1,000. And I'm like, man, you guys have done something phenomenal. I don't know what they're doing,
Yeah,
but
but you're primarily known as a Transformers channel, and
yeah,
then you have Motu every once in a while, which throws everybody for a
y-
loop.
yeah. I think it messes with the algorithm too because it doesn't know to like push the content because it's like, what is this? This isn't a robot, you know. And I think that's part of it too. I'm kind of
It
working against
fails
it
the
too bad.
robot test
Fails the robot test exactly. There are no robotic parts on this toy. Failed, not recommended.
unless you do Faker.
Yeah, Faker or Roboto. There you go.
Yeah. Or Hordak.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. He's got robot parts.
Or Horde Troopers.
Yeah, I haven't done those yet. I got the PowerCon ones. They're still sitting there waiting on me to get to them. I
They
should
pop
sooner
open when
rather
you
than
hit the
later.
chest.
Oh yeah, that's so cool. Like a little chest just explodes like that. That was pretty neat.
I can't wait to get the gray one.
Yeah,
I got to army build that. I need like 25 Horde Troopers.
yeah. Those are gonna be pretty tough to get because those are gonna be the big army builders everybody wants. Be like
I've
Scourge all
noticed
over
that
again.
several of the last few waves have had army builders. You've got Faker,
Mm,
which because of the mini comic that came with that wave,
yeah,
was the troop builder. Then you've got well, in my mind, Kronos, because Kronos really does make a good mercenary lackey for Trapjaw.
yeah. He's just kind of a generic bad guy.
And then you've got mini comic Stratos,
Oh yeah, because
because
he'd
if
be
you
all the people. Yeah,
if you look at the comic book that came out with the first Stratos in that wave, all of the soldiers of Avion looked like that mini comic Stratos.
that's true. I noticed that. I'm actually wondering if they're gonna do the. There was a female avian from I think it was the back of his card art, the first Stratos.
Hawk,
That would be a cool one. What's that?
Hawk.
Oh,
Her
she
name's
has a
Hawk.
name? I didn't know
Yes.
that. I thought it was just like a generic female. Yeah.
Well, no, she's from the TV series.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing her get a toy. That'd be pretty cool. Be a good way to flesh out the female characters because we don't get a lot of them, and easy
Yeah.
to do. Just throw wings on her.
Rumor has it that we're going to be getting more Princess of Power characters.
Yeah, I think they're doing that for Masterverse, aren't they? Like the
They're doing it for Masterverse, but there's also rumors that we're going to get it in Origins too. So
I'd be down. I mean, it's something different. It's a very different aesthetic. I mean, they're basically Barbie dolls, but if they work within the greater Motu, I don't mind, picking those
they
up
were
too.
originally designed for Motu.
Yeah. So
So
like,
I mean, and it was just that the girls' side took those characters and then added rooted hair and put them out in pink packaging
yeah,
instead of the classic Masters of the Universe. They were designed to be Masters of the Universe characters
yeah, I
because
wouldn't.
they found out that girls were buying as many girls were buying Masters of the Universe as boys were.
Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't mind getting her mount because Shira right now she's such a one-off character in Origins. It's kind of weird just having her by herself. It would be nice to flesh it out. What's her horse's name? Like the flying horse?
And
What is it?
Swiftwind.
Swiftwind, yeah, like that'd be cool to get an Origin Swiftwind just for her to ride around on, and they might be able to retool that and make Tila's horse too, or unicorn, like battle unicorn that she had in the old comics. That'd be cool too.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Actually, it'd be awesome to have a whole bunch of horses,
Yeah, yeah, it's one
different
thing.
ones.
I know vehicles can be kind of a tough sell, which I think is why they don't do that many of them, but they are perfect for that line because it's an army kind of an army building kind of line where you're setting up these elaborate battles. You need to have vehicles and mounts and stuff rather than just a bunch of people running around on the ground.
Bassosaurus. We need the Bassosaurus.
I want the Mantisaur. I want Hordak's mount. That thing is
I think
awesome.
we're going to get the core mounts for
I hope
the
so. I hope we get
so
Mantisaur.
because Mantisaur is Hordak's mount. We got Battle Cat. We've got um Panther. Two versions of it. We've got Stridor that it's just hitting stores right now. We've got
Yep.
Night Stalker coming out later this year.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
I was wondering about that. I figured it had to come because I mean you have the mold already. You might as well.
Yeah, Night Stalker's and plus that helmet, that alternate helmet with Strider is Night Stalker's helmet.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
That
it
makes sense.
was created from the classics for the classics line, just for Night Stalker.
Huh. I knew it was from Classics because I when I got the toy, I kind of looked it up and saw that, like, oh, that came with the class. I didn't realize that was meant specifically for Night Stalker, though. That kind of makes
Night
sense.
Stalker came out first,
Ah, that makes sense. Okay.
and he didn't have a helmet in the vintage toy line. They made him a helmet for Classics.
I'm
Same
still
thing with
let
Panther
down.
and getting that damn helmet.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I can't believe that they didn't give Panther that's like spiked helmet. That thing was cool.
That skull horned helmet.
Yeah, like that was really cool. And the fact that they released it, charged the same amount of money they did for Battle Cat, and he's minus a whole helmet is just kind of BS.
Well, that was the
Like,
way it was back in the day too. So
yeah, and I know that, but it's like it's within the budget. They really should have included that helmet. And then if you didn't want the
because
helmet, you can just take it off, you know?
All of Panther was already sculpted.
Yeah.
What, they have a budget for deco and box art.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like they really should have had that helmet in there because he feels very naked without it now.
Well, you got I can't remember his name now. Hebro. Hebro did those helmets.
Bro. Oh, I'm not super familiar with him, but I think I saw one of his videos today. He does like a lot of is it 3D printing that he does?
He does custom in general.
Yeah. I saw him do something. It
Most
was Castle Grayskull flooring that he had
Yeah,
put out there.
yeah. He's just gotten into 3D printing within the last year or so, I guess.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, he's been doing that, and he's got the Battle Cat helmet.
Might look
Or
might look into that
the
one because I
Panther
think
helmet
he
rather.
looks. Yeah, I think he looks real weird without the helmet now. Like I know he
Oh,
originally never had one, but
and
now
he's
that he's
also got
got
a
one, it's weird to not have it. You know?
yeah, he's also got an Origins Battle Lion head to go on the Revelations Battle Cat body.
Oh, really?
So you can
So you can
have
get Grayskull's pet.
yeah, so you can have Grayskull's Battle Lion, because if you look at the animation, Battle Lion is so much bigger than Battle Cat.
Yeah, that's true.
He's supposed to be massive compared to Battle Cat. And the size difference between the Origins Battle Cat and the Revelations Battle Cat is the perfect size change for it to go into the Origins line, and you get ankle articulation.
Yeah, that's the one thing that bugs me about the Origins cats is the lack of the ankle tilt there. It's like the fact that his ankles are static makes the rest of his leg articulation basically pointless because he can't actually stand in anything but like his molded stance, and that's it. Otherwise,
Yep.
he's kind of doing this. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've said it again. We've said it once, and you've already said goodbye, and we keep going on. So,
I'm bad about that. I'll just keep
yeah,
talking all night.
same. But you have a good one, and we are